There's no reason to cancel flight today.
Welcome to Yeshiva Daf. We are back, Baruch Hashem. We're holding in Menachos Daf Yud Zayin. We're going to start Daf Yud Zayin and with base in the two dots, about, let's say, maybe 14, 15 lines on the bottom. I just want to mention that the shir tonight is Leilu Nishvas, my brother's grandfather, Rav Zev ben Tzvi Stern, Yechezkel was nifter today. He was passed away today. He's a very, very, very special person. A big doer for Klal Yisrael, both in Yonik Tzedakah and Kehila. And one of the special attributes that he had, among many, but maybe that's the highest characteristic, was he was, since the age of 20, at the age of 20, he lost his hand. He had only one hand. But he, with one hand, accomplished more than most people do with two hands. So, because he was determined, he didn't allow the impediment of having only one hand, affect him in any way, shape, or form. Anytime he had to prove that he could do things with one hand, just mentioning, we just came back from skiing, is that he, at the age of 40, decided to start skiing, and he learned how to ski at the age of 40, with one hand. And as many other things he did in life, he was determined and got things done, and was a big oisir and master of Klal Yisrael, and his neshama should have an aliyah.
Amen.
Okay, we're going to start in... not yet. He wasn't buried yet. Says the Gemara, Hiktir...
You're talking about...
Yeah, it was today.
Oh, he was...
Yeah. Levi is going to start in Brazil and in Eretz Yisrael.
Oh, I thought it was the yard site.
No. It's today,
How old the man?
96. Yeah.
I was wondering, I haven't seen him. He came here a couple of times. I remember.
Yeah, back in I think the last time he was here he was the sandik by my son Moshe. He was the sandik. That was 7 years ago. So
that was last time he was here.
I think so. I'm trying to remember. Maybe there's no time afterwards. I'm not sure. I think it's probably the last time. I think. Okay, says the Gemara. Hiktir shum. Le'echol shum and shekol le'korbetz kula. So we're in the middle of the sugya of chatzi matir. Chatzi matir means when a person went, the Mishnah, the previous Mishnah that the Roman Bay was telling us, that the Zion was telling us, that if you did pigul only in one of the material, koimitz and not the levoino, and not the koimitz and machloikes, if chatzi matir is enough or not, machloikes were meir rabbanon. Now here what he did was like this. He went and took the koimitz, but instead of putting the full koimitz in the mizbeach, he did a little small bit. Shum means like a sesame, the size of a sesame. So he put a sesame and he had in mind the whole sum. And that's what he continued doing. A little bit with a mind, a little bit with his mind.
They did the share, but little by little.
But he did it little by little, exactly. At Shekol Koimitz Kol, until the entire Koimitz. So you have a machlekes. Three shittas. Chad Omar Pigul. One says this is a Pigul. Chad Omar Pasul. It's not Pigul, but it's not kosher either. It's psul.
Why is it pigul?
One second, let's see. Chad Omar kosher. Pigul was because he had in mind to eat in the wrong time. That's always pigul. Pigul is he had in mind. But here he did it in small pieces. And the third sheet it says kosher. What's a machlekes? Leim Mamado pigul kermer. Not what pigul was a kermer. The what? So you could do pigul with chatzivat. So the same way I could do pigul with koimitz and either koimitz or levaino. So I could do pigul with half a koimitz and half a koimitz. Each piece of the koimitz it could do pigul. Mando apostle karabanon like rabbanon held the no. You can't do pigul this way. Pigul can be done only if you do the full matir. But if you do half a matir, it's puzzle. Mando makosha Rebbe. Rebbe is what we saw earlier in Daf Yudalit 2 days ago. The Rebbe is the one who said that if you do half, you didn't do anything. There's nothing. It's kasha. That's a chol makoikis. In other words, the Gemara at this stage understands that a piece of the koimitz is equivalent to half like doing the koimitz out of the levoina. It's like Momimai. It's not exactly the same. There, by a mayor, he had a full share of koimitz or levoina. You don't have a full shear. He has the size of a sesame. So I don't have another shear. Loi. Ve'atkan there, Rabbanon disagree because he says he didn't do the full matir. He did either koimitz or levaino. You have to do both. But here he did do the whole matir. He just did it in stages. He eventually did the whole matter. Hachanai the pogil, maybe he'll be pigul. The Hartman will come a Rebbe also very similar. Just we're emphasizing something else. You're not filling it up. You're doing only half. Which means you filled it up. You made a full komet. So maybe hachanai the pasuk. So you can't compare it to the case of half a matter. Ella mandoma pigul divyakol, mandoma pasul divyakol, mandoma kosher divyakol. Each one of them says there's no argument about this case. Why not? It's normal to eat in pieces. That's how you do it. How do you? You don't eat a full komet. You eat a piece of the komet, and a piece of the komet, piece of the komet, so you get the komet. So, and it's normal to put on his back this way. So he had in mind to do this way. That's a full. It's a regular achila, a regular aktar. The mandom apostle divyakol kosovar. There's the two girsos over here. The girsos that we have over here in the Gemara, the way they take the parentheses is let's read with the parentheses. It's not the way to do it. So it's not mutter, but it is possible. Or the other girl says doing it to eat this way, so he thought something which is not full. He didn't do the aktar well. It's not the way to eat it, but it's the way to be maktir. So what is he doing? He's doing aktar. He's doing piece by piece. That's fine. You can do aktar this way. So it's a full aktar. But what does he have in mind? To eat small pieces. Eating small pieces is not considered to be achilo. So he doesn't have any wrong mindset. All he has is, the mindset doesn't do anything. Because it's less than kshir. The aktar was done well because he put in his mouth. So it is.
What's the Gemara?
So it's kosher.
That you have to eat the shear?
What?
You have to eat the shear?
Yeah, you have to eat a shear for sure. The shiloh here is, in general, yes. In general, you have to eat kazais. Always.
Like in one time?
So, according to this Gemara, good question. I'm wondering if this will be enough kamino, like a regular achilo, or it's only like a guy pickle. Because the Chol Machlik is just the achilo v'kach or not.
Don't necessarily eat a shear in one bite.
I'm curious to know. I have to check this out. If this will be, for example, if community lagabi matzah on Pesach, should you have to eat in one bite or not? There's a discussion. So maybe that's the machlokes over here will be dependent on. I'm not sure. So let's check it out. Says the Gemara, Amrei. That was really the end of yesterday's daf. Says the Gemara, Amrei. If you join Dalef, Charife de Pomadiso. Who is that? Says Rashi. That is Eifo ve'avimi. What do they say? Hakdora mefageles aktor. Haktoro can cause pikul to aktor. Meaning, what does it mean? So Rashi explains. Let's see the Rashi. Second line in Rashi. Hiktir koimetz al menat lektir levoino la'achazman. He's doing koimetz, and he has in mind to do the levoino a different time. Now, again, the machlekes in our Mishnah. If he's doing koimetz and not levoina, only koimetz and levoina, so then there's a machlekes if that's considered to be pigul because it's chatzimat. Now here he's doing only koimetz, but he has in mind for the levoina. It says Rashi, the avagadim matir fagelas amatir, even though the pigul doesn't really work. Come on, so we'll see that it is considered to be the one is affecting the other. Because they're in the same kli. Okay, so let's see. So I feel Rabbanon. According to Rabbanon, let's say you can have a matir. That's only he has in mind the shiraim, the leftover, the wrong time, and his only thing is putting in his back is the koimetz, and the levoino remains where it is. Here, even though he's doing only koimetz, he has in mind to have the levoino. So the koimetz and the levoino are involved. As long as they have both material involved, I'm okay.
Doesn't levoino have to be on the mizbech?
For sure, it has to be eventually. But when he did the machshava, he was doing only one of them. But I was saying, not because he did only one, he had in mind the other one.
Well, they don't necessarily have to be put at the same time.
No. I'm not talking about, again, the problem is, like, according to Rabbanon, the person did Kemitza. He says, I have in mind to eat it in the wrong time. Right. He does Levoin without no thought. According to Rabbanon, that's not pickle. Why? you did pigul only half of the matir. Now here, he did only half the matir. When he thought he had the bad thought, he put only the koimitz in it. But he was thinking about the levainu. He was thinking about the other matir. So once I have in mind both matirim, that's going to be good enough, I mean bad enough to be a pigul. That's what he says. That's what Charif Pumedisa said. I'll bring a raya. Zakla used the rule. We saw that earlier. Kol koimitz onas kmitzo. V'noisim puts it in a vessel. He walks to the mizbech. He puts on his back leechol. Dovo shadar leechol. He's going to eat something which usually eat. Like the dovo shadar leaktir, or to do aktar the way normal way. Chutz v'koyim. If you did it with the mindset out of its place, pasul ve'im b'karis. Chutz is manoi. Pigul chivin l'karis. That's a classic mishnah. Ma'ila aktar dumin de'anach. We're comparing aktar to the other avodas. Ma'anach bin leechol bin leaktir. Meaning that doesn't matter if he had in mind to, in all three avodas, he's doing kmitza. On the nas, to what? Either eat it tomorrow or be maktir it tomorrow. Meaning to put it on the mizbech tomorrow. That's always the machshava pigul. Either achilas adam or achilas mizbech. His own achila or then the mizbech will eat it. So the same thing when you're putting the koimitz, you should have both options: his own achila or the achila of the mizbech. Which other achila of the mizbech do I have? Only levainu. So you see that I can think about the levainu. So you see they all talk the same case. So the manach ben lechol ben akter, aktor ben lechol ben akter. So moloi. Hanach ben lechol ben akter, aktor lecholin aktor lakter loy. So not necessarily the same thing. The first three avoidance you can have two bad options of machshava: either to eat yourself or the mizbech. By koimet, by aktorah, you can have only one machshava. To eat yourself, no machshava and put it on mizbech, no raya from here to the chayvit b'medisu. Second, Yossi Rabbi Nasher by Gado Kamid Abayev Yosef Kalam Mishred Avchizdo Ein Aktor Woman Fagel Aktor. No, you cannot have in mind for the koimet to levoinu. They both are aktors. I feel there are Amir Dom and Five Chatzavad. You look at your Amir that says you could do pigul with only one of them. How do you mean the shirayim the koimitz matir to do? That's all if you think about the koimitz, about the shirayim that's becoming mutter through the kmitzo, because you put a kmitzo in his bag, the shirayim become mutter. The koimitz matir the levoinu, but koimitz it doesn't make the levoinu mutter. They're both matir. Loy matir fagel pei. Then there's no pickle. Even another with the opposite. Omulei abayi oni mayim mishvei Rav. Is this in the name of Rav? Because he said in the Abaye said in the name of, so Rabbi Menachos by God, the same name of Rav Chizda. So he asked him, was Rav Chizda quoting Rav when he said it? Omelei yes, it's Rav. Itranami, Rav Chizda Rav, name of Rav. And aktor figures aktor you can't do from kmitza to levainu. Omelei Yaakov Yidish Red Abaye, Afan Tenin, I'll bring a Rav. Shochad echod min akvosim leechol mimenu lemochad. Person had shchita on keves, one of the kvosim, to eat tomorrow. The mach'u pigul v'chaver kosher. He's pigul, but the other keves didn't affect it. Le'echol mechaver l'mochi is doing one sheep and have in mind to the other sheep. Shneim ksher. My time elam mishu dekeven la mati deu lo mati fagabeh. So because it's not the same matter. So I can't think from one matter to another matter. The same way I can't think from one sheep to another sheep. So I can't think from koimitz to levainu. Exactly the same idea. The two material. Same loy. Also with the leikva b'chanmono. So there is different. Here the two cloths are really completely separate. But here the koimitz and levainu were both put in the same kli. So they're more connected. So that's why maybe by thinking about them it should work. Meaning Rav Chanina said to be b'havlo. Like a agavurcha. By the way, he told me that. It's worth it to be like my whole learning, my whole shas. Hiktir koimetz la'aktir levoino. He's doing kmitza with a mindset to do levoino, right? Now, he's adding another word. Le'echol shirayim lemocher. Okay, so he has koimetz to do levoino and koimetz to eat the shirayim too. Pigul. It's a pigul. So my kalan, what exactly is coming to b'chadash? Aktor and Figel Aktor is going to tell me what our sugar just said. They want to do commit so I can think about the levoino. Kamashwan, let me tell me that. Why do you have to go tell me then he had also in mind for Shirayim. Who cares he had in mind for Shirayim? Even if like Mechatzimatik Ashlayim, you want to tell me you can do pigul just by thinking about Kmitza. Even though he did not do Levoino, Leimik to Kermit Sechol Shirayim Lemocher. Just say the second part. Itar Vaikash, what's only both Kedushim, two separate independent Kedushim. Leimik, Iktil Kermit Sechol Levoino, Velechol Shirayim Lemocher. The thought would be either or. I mean, he did Kermit with the mindset of Levoino, or he did Kermit with the mindset of Shirayim. So why is he saying in one sentence? Torah is not in Figure Torah. And also Chatzimat is not. So nothing works over here. Kmitza the Levain is not good enough because you can't do from Kmitza to Levain. Kmitza Shirayim is not good enough because there's only one. So what did he do over here? Here's the Chiddush. Even though he holds that usually thought of Kmitza does not work for the Levain. And the thought of Kmitza alone does not work for the Shirayim, but when you do it all together, it does work. Kmitza is thinking about the Levaino, it doesn't affect the Levaino. But the fact that he's thinking about the Levaino puts the Kmitza and the Levaino together, and now he's thinking about the Shirayim, you have to go by the Shirayim. He didn't do Levaino, he thought about the Levaino. The Machshava with Levaino put it in here. So the Kmitza will not affect the Levaino. That he disagrees with the first mandom in our Omot. But if you think about the Levaino, so you don't have a chisaron of Chatzimat here. That's a Chiddush.
So according to this one, the claimants for the Shirayim alone
won't be enough.
And the claimants for the Levana alone would not be enough. Only right. You have in mind for all three is the...
So you're doing Kmitza, you have in mind for the other two. Right. He did Kmitza in mind in Shirayim, the V'akol Pigul. It's a Pigul. One more, what do you mean? Everybody agrees. When they argue, that's Chatzimat. Everybody agrees that it's not Pigul, but it's possible. I raise a Pigul very here. Why don't you just tell me, maybe if you correct yourself, say, no, not that it's Divrei it's Remeir. So the Gemara big Yisoid. They said everybody agrees. Pigul ipsul michlafli. Raise a Divrei michlafli. Meaning, sometimes a person can make a mistake. You could say, they said, you should know, there's no argument that Pigul is that what? Everybody agrees it is. So he made a mistake. Instead of saying Psul, he said Pigul. It's very similar. But he didn't change the context. Everybody agrees. But to come and say that you completely misunderstood, Rameir holds this way, but not somebody else, so you wouldn't make that big mistake. But the Tana used to send the Bismardish, he was the computer. Sometimes he got mixed up. But he wouldn't make a big mistake, make a small mistake. So with this we end this parak, very challenging and difficult parak to understand. Next parak Shlishi. He has in mind to eat something you're not supposed to eat. For example, Levaino. Levaino you don't eat. To put in his bag something not supposed to put in his bag, like Shirayim, kosher. Not a problem. Rabbi Lezer poisel. This is still possible. Lechol dovish darko lechol v'lak dovish darko lak tipochen mikazais, less than a kazais, kosher. Again, you have to have kazais. And here the chiddush is even according to Rabbi Lezer. Lechol kechatzi zais, like kechatzi zais, he has in mind full kazais, but you have to eat. You have to put it in his bag. Kosher. Sheinachil v'aktor mitzavim. They don't do together, as we saw that earlier. Says the Gemara. What is the reason, Rabbi Lezer, that you could do something which is not kedarka? Says the Gemara, if we'll eat from the meat of the shlamim. It says, double. Think about Adam, talk about Mizbeach. The same way you can think about a chilo of Adam, the same way you're thinking of doing something, giving to a person to eat, and doing it wrong at the wrong time, and the chil is back at the wrong time. You can also change it around, thinking to put in his back what the Adam has to eat, putting on the Adam what his back has to eat. My time, oh? Wow, how do you see you can interchange it? Because we're speaking about it says Ochel Yochel, two achilas. One is achilas back. Why achilas is back? Should say aktoras is back. When it goes to the Mizbeach, it's like Torah. The fact that you call it Achila tells me you can give on it something which is edibles for Adam. Why do Rabbanon rather Torah really use this Lashon of Achila? Something when the Vidzayin with base. When he has in mind to put in his Mizbeach what's supposed to go in his Mizbeach, it doesn't matter if he's thinking or he's saying, I'm going to be Ma'achil Mizbeach or I'm going to be Maktil Mizbeach. Regardless of what he says, it's still a pigul. See, if he said, I'm giving the Mizbeach Levoino, I'm going to feed the Mizbeach Levoino. I'm going to be Maktil Mizbeach Levoino is more the problem. It has to be a Levoino. It has to be what's appropriate for the Mizbeach. Inami, another thing you learn from here. Ma'achil B'kazais, Avaktor B'kazais, it needs to be at least Kazais to Mizbeach, Ulo'ilo Ma'achil Dorchel, Mashma has to be Davka Derech Suras Achila. What?
Does it have to be either a lashon achila or aktar? Like, what if you just use some other lashon? As long as you did something which is right for the mizbeach, is that?
I'm trying to see because we'll learn the Torah briefly. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it has to be one of these lashonos. Yeah, I think. Says the Gemara, Reb Lazar, use the same lashon. Why you change the lashon? Shami said, no, tight from here. You know, you have to learn both. Yes, all the limud rabbanon. In addition, that it works. Tais points out a very interesting Tais here in the bottom. Tais says, Svashi doesn't hold dibatei koloshim niyadam, because if you hold dibatei koloshim niyadam, sometimes the Torah repeats itself, and then it says teach you anything. So you say, if you would say this way, the Torah meant, why the Torah did not just say the same word again? If you say the same word again, okay, says the Gemara, if he holds the any achila works, if he holds you can put the mizbeach, sai achila or aktara, meaning sai food or what's royal mizbeach, so why he says the only pastor doesn't say chad kars. Maybe he means chad kars. So you said name Rabbi Yochanan. Moidi abloz shein or kars. Abloz agrees, no kars. It's really mechlik tanoim will leave the ablozer. Ikamando absula deraiso, ikamando absula derabon. It's mechlik deraiso derabon, meaning some hold that the ablozer didn't deraiso because it's a chilos mizbeach, can be even a regular chilo. Some hold no, it's a din derabonon, and it's only a rabbonon with geyser. Titania says the deraiso. Hashoich is a sazevach lishtois midomoy lemocher. Someone with the shech the carbon. And he has in mind to drink the blood. Drinking the blood is not roy for Adam. Or lacteria psar lamoch. He has in mind to put the meat of the mizbech. Again, not roy. It's supposed to be the fat. Lechol mimur lamoch. Or to eat the fat, what's supposed to go to the mizbech. Kosher. No issue. Because he had the wrong thing. Rab Lozer poisel. He says pasel, not pigul. La'aniach midom lamoch. We'll see if the Gemara is going to explain, bring the rye for explain the rye in a moment. He places the blood. He does not put it on the mizbeach. That's a little nugat what Mo was talking about. He doesn't have a chilo aktar. He has in mind just la'aniach, just to leave it there. We saw that in Masechet Zvachim. Then the Mivav, sorry. A person has lotion of inuach, just to be maniach, just leaving the blood with the mom. I'm not doing aktar. I know. That's so just mizbeach with the way, right? So we have beautiful place. Right, here's Anoch we're not putting in this bag. Rabbi the place. Rabbi says still possible. Amar Lazar, says of Lazar, I believe the Amoiro, or maybe the Tana, sorry. Abizu Rabbi Eliezer Paisachol Machshir. It's the same machlekes. It's the same machlekes. So then why Rabbi Yudah leave it the man. Rabbi Yudah, Nash is coming to argue Rabbi Lazar. What is he going to argue? Either may leave it there Rabbanon. He's coming to say that according to Rabbanon, it's also possible. When he's saying the right lashon, he's saying, I'm going to feed the mizbeach meat. It's a rabbanon, it's not edible. Here he didn't have the thought to eat. He said, let's start laniach, just to leave it there. So it doesn't make sense according to rabbanon should be a problem. Leave it there, blazor.
It's even more than that. When you have in mind to eat, by definition, you have to leave it over before you eat it. So it's even a great.
I hear. Go to You want to say anyway laniach?
It's still the Rabbanon is saying kosher, so for sure it's just laniach
Right.
without the hachal.
The more didn't say that, Rashi didn't say that. I hear it's an interesting hero. Okay?
I thought we had something similar like in Zvav.
Yes, the above. But the other one did not mention this. Question of laniach. Maybe it's different because you have to have in mind clearly what you're going to do with it. So,
if your das is to eat something tomorrow, like that means before you eat something tomorrow, you have to leave it over. So
but you didn't have that in your mind.
So it's included in
it's like we said, like the Duma that we had, when a person goes inside, the more I asked the question, when you're going into Kodesh HaKodashim, you're anyway going through the Kodesh. So if you're paisel, but Kodesh, of course, it's already puzzled. So one says, no, you have to have in mind what you're going to do. If you had, so it could be here the same thing. If I have in mind not to, that enough is not enough, I have to have in mind to do that enough. No, I'm saying, more saying, Ramesh is saying, that if I'm leaving it tomorrow, to me makriv it, I'm anyway having in mind to leave it. So if you hold anoch as a problem, it's already anoch. So it could be no. Could be that if you have in mind to put in mizbeach, you don't have anoch. Anoch is different, because you have to have it in mind for that. Okay. So what did he say? But the next sentence is, the Rabbi Elazar that says that Rabbi Eliezer is arguing. Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Yehuda, it's the exact same thing. They both say the same thing. Then laniach is the Chorah say machlekes. Hello, what's the machlekes between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Elazar? Korah sikeh benayu. Rabbi Yehuda saw laniach psul be'amo be'anach korah sami chayev. That's the machlekes. Rabbi Yehuda says, according to Rabbi Eliezer, if you have in mind to put in mizbeach, achilo or ktoro chayev korahs. Have in mind just laniach, it's only psul derabbanan. There's no chorus. Those goes to argue. That's a machlekes. So because it says it's the same machlekes, don't tell me it's a new machlekes, it's the same machlekes. Meaning, what does the Gemara ask? The Gemara says the machlekes tanoim. If according to Rabbi Eliezer, if I leave something for tomorrow, if I put tomorrow in the mizbeach in the wrong way, putting on the mizbeach something not supposed to go on the mizbeach, is it a psul derabbanan or psul deraisa? So where's the machlekes? Machlekes of Elazar and Rabbi Yehuda, because we talk about laniach. Rabbi Yehuda says laniach is awesome. Because of Elazar says it's the same thing. It's like Elazar says by Ketar is also by here. What's the machlekes? This is the machlekes. According to Rabbi Yehuda, laniach is one level less and it's no chorus. But according to Elazar, it's not one level less. It's the same thing. Some more look. The kul almo chorus leiko. Everybody agrees there's no chorus. The hochel giva machlekes. The views are three machlekes. Tanekama sovar be'anich pligi lanich tivya kol kosher. Tanekama says that's only machlekes he puts it on mizbeach. Either he puts whatever, not royal mizbeach or not royal mizbeach. That's a machlekes. Could the has to be roy. Could the has to be not. It has to be even so not roy. Laniach is not at all. Continues to go like Yechezkel with Aleph. Rabbi Yehuda sovar be'anich pligi lanich tivya kol pasul. They're arguing the gabe on mizbeach. But if you put it on the laniach, everybody agrees it's possible. My time exer mixes domoy, at the cold domoy, even if it's only partial, it's still a problem. A cold dom psul deraisa according to Rabbi Yehuda. Tanyo Omar le Rabbi Yehuda iatemoidim li sheminichu lemochu shepasul chishul laniach lemochu na'im pasul. Rabbi Yehuda is the one that says that we saw in Masechet Zvachim. That he says, I hold if you leave it for tomorrow it's pasul. So I have in mind to leave it for tomorrow. I said Rabbi Yehuda, what's the story of Rabbi Yehuda? If you leave it, if you actually leave it for tomorrow, that's really what Moshe was saying before. If you actually leave it for tomorrow, it becomes nicer. So if I'm thinking you leave it tomorrow, it should also be a problem. That was the time. So Rabbi Yehuda also, when you leave it tomorrow, it's also the right. So that's why when you leave also partial, it's exam. And comes up, Rabbi Elazar says it's a machlekes. So Tanakama holds there's no machlekes. Everybody agrees there's no issue. Laniach. He says everybody agrees laniach is a problem. Comes up Elazar, it says no, it's a machlekes. According to Rabbi Elazar that holds that you could the solution any royal mizbeach is a problem. So laniach is a problem. According to Rabbanan, it has to be dafka royal mizbeach. Laniach is not a problem. It depends on the same machlekes. So that's a machlekes. And now regarding this specific one,
everybody agrees there's no cars.
Everybody agrees there's no cars. It's more saying the kulam the cars like. There's no cars. Very good.